We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or, if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south-of-the-border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside. Or maybe you're in the mood for seafood. Big Sur Oyster Bar has fresh seafood prepared right before your eyes. Savor freshly shucked oysters, crab legs jambalaya, shrimp and lobster. Beers on tap and a selection of fine wines are perfect to pair with your seafood favorite. Whether lunch or dinner, you'll love this fun atmosphere, located just off the casino floor. Ready to shake things up? Step back in time and treat yourself to one of the oldest restaurant chains in the country. Steak and Shake, famous for original mouth-watering steak burgers and hand-dipped milkshakes in a variety of flavors. For some old-fashioned fun, try Steak and Shake.
Man, it is Sports by the Book here at the South Point studio. Happy to be with you as always. It is the final Saturday of March, which means we move to April Anarchy in a week, right? That's what we go with, right? April Anarchy, March Madness. Yeah, I think that's good. We're down to only 5 games in the college basketball season, not including the NIT and the college basketball crown, which, by the way, gets going next week here in Las Vegas. But 5 games that really are 100% meaningful to crowning a champion in college hoops this year. We also have Sweet 16 games on the women's side. Number 1 seed South Carolina got a scare yesterday. We'll look at a Juju Watkins-less USC and more a little bit later, and also a full Saturday of baseball, where today Rob Manfred and his genius actually has an actual day game today on the East Coast. Yeah, we did it. We did it. Come on, we're not applauding. You're only nodding your head. No one can see that, Sean. But we'll get to all those a little bit later in the show. Chat along with us. Have some fun with us here today. If you're watching, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already had it clicked up already. All right, let's get to it here. Let's get going. Start with last night real quick. First time in 20 years that all 8 favorites won outright in the Sweet 16. It took a little bit more effort than you would have expected based off the final scores for some of these games. Auburn, who was down by 9 in the second half and then went supernova mid-January Auburn for about the last 10 minutes of the game, ends up winning by 13, covers that number. Pretty bad gut punch for Michigan bettors, who I thought had the right side for the majority of that game. Michigan State won by 3. Buzzer beater brick 3 that finds a way to fall for Ole Miss. Ends up covering basically all the numbers except for the super early ones on the Rebels. Tennessee was the only no sweater last night. Clearly the right side all the way through as they really beat up on Kentucky. First loss against Tennessee for Kentucky this year comes at the wrong time. And then what ended up being the game of the night, the Houston Cougars blew a 10-point lead with 7 minutes to go but end up getting bailed out at the end. An excellent play call on the final play of the game. Houston inbounded the ball with a little under 3 seconds to go and ended up getting pretty much an uncontested layup for Uzan after what was a tip ball out of bounds off a missed shot, after what was a really bad possession. There could have been an offensive foul called. There wasn't. But Uzan ended up making the layup off of what was a beautifully designed baseline out of bounds play by Kelvin Sampson. So Houston survives and goes to the Elite Eight tomorrow in Indianapolis against Tennessee. All right, let's get to it for today, though. We start in San Francisco, the West Region final between Florida and Texas Tech. By the way, 1-2, 1-3, 1-2, 1-2. Chalk, and more chalk, which should lead to some epic games here over the next few days. Starting with this one in San Francisco, Texas Tech and Florida. So here's what we got for this game, and the common numbers here for this. The number 7. The number 7 for Florida and Texas Tech, where we opened up 6.5 here at the South Point, and it has been bet accordingly to the favorite in this one. And you're 158 on the total, and that's up a point from the opener. So negligible moves here on this Florida-Texas Tech game. Now, of course, Florida ended up handling their business, ended up covering after a sluggish first half against Maryland, kind of similar to what Michigan ended up doing with Auburn yesterday. Wins by 16, 87 points and 71 possessions for the Florida Gators. The big question for me is Alex Condon, who rolled his ankle early in that game, was able to return, but didn't play too much in the second half, only 14 minutes. How healthy is he? Now, Florida, who has really good depth, has really tightened their rotation in this tournament. Only 7 guys played more than 10 minutes in the Sweet 16 against UConn. After we saw them again struggle in that game, they did find a way and held on. In that game, yeah, you had more. You had Hangledonen got a little extra minutes, but no one. He was the only other guy who got over 10. Aberdeen played only 13. Shindaloo, who had fouls in that game, only played 14. Very much tight for this Florida team that has really good depth. Texas Tech, of course, third biggest comeback in Sweet 16 history, down 16 in the second half, winning in overtime. After really, again, not playing their best game against UNC Wilmington, they never really came close to covering that game, and they beat Drake by 13 in a game that was played at Drake's pace. Now, this is a different animal for Texas Tech. Giving the Red Raiders their due, though. Of course, they beat Houston earlier this year in a game where JT Toppin was thrown out for what was a complete nonsensical flagrant 2 that was called on him, where the refs didn't just went strictly off the rule book without using any sort of knowledge. I don't want to say knowledge, logic, I should say. They lost to Houston by 8 in Lubbock. They beat Arizona at home. They lost at Arizona. They won at Kansas. Again, that's not really same quality. And then remember earlier in the year when Iowa State was still at their best, Texas Tech lost in overtime in a game that probably the Red Raiders should have won. Now, both teams super reliant on their offenses. The difference, though, and this is so weird to say about a Texas Tech team and a team coached by Graham McCaslin, this is a big defensive advantage for Florida, who is second in offense and third and ninth in defense. Texas Tech fifth in offense, 39th in defense. Again, you don't really think of Texas Tech as this offensive juggernaut, but that's what they've been this year. They're a high-end offensive team. Now, The big question in this game for me, again, you're not going to see Chance McMillan in this game. Do you get a positive or shooting regression game for Elijah Hawkins, who was dreadful from the field in that game against Arkansas? Made the big three in overtime, but that was pretty much it. And how does JT Toppin do against, again, as good as Houston? Houston is the one team that has size, even though they're not as big as Chindalu and Condon. They're super, super long. How does Toppin hold up against them? Toppin, again, only played 4 minutes in that first meeting against Houston, so throw that out. The second meeting, played 36 minutes, 14.6 of 14 from the field. So he did not have the best of days, was not very efficient for a guy who is usually unbelievably efficient. The only concern I have in this game for Texas Tech is that their defense fails them. 7 is a ton of points to be getting here with a legitimate top 10 team. By the way, Ken Palm ratings, here's who's left. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, number 9. 8 of the top 9 are in the Elite 8. The only one who's not there is Gonzaga. And Texas Tech is barely behind Gonzaga. They're only 0.12 in the net rating behind them. This is high quality across the board in this Elite 8. And because of the lack of upsets, and again, it's interesting, even with the lack of upsets, the shortest number for these Elite 8 games, well, the shortest number for the Sweet 16 was 3.5. And there's only one possession line in this, and that's Houston against Tennessee, which we'll get to in a little bit. But I would only lean to taking the 7 with Texas Tech, but this is not a particularly strong one. I'm a little bit stronger in game 2. 158, that total's about right. I guess you could reasonably look at an under if you wanted to, but again, both games in this region went zooming over their totals in game 1. This was 158 for the Florida game, and Texas Tech went well over against Arkansas thanks to the OT. I do think Florida wins. Now, I'm curious, looking at the rest of this region, how you would power rate these teams 1 through 8. At least for me, I would go Duke 1, Houston 2, Florida 3, Auburn 4. The ones are clearly a notch above. And then I think I'd go Bama, Tennessee, Texas Tech, Michigan State based off what I've seen if we're going 1 through 8. So, again, this is these teams are all compact. They're all high-end elite teams here at the end of the way here in the 2025 tournament. All right, let's go to Newark. Duke, Alabama. Winner goes to the Final Four tonight. So, this number has been toggling between 6.5 and 7. Did this just move back to 6.5? Because it is back to 7. Okay. This has been a big-time toggler. So, landing at 7. Total, by the way, 174 to 173, and now back to 175 on this game. This is very simple for me. And I said it with the Bama game, and it was master of the obvious stuff, but this is the whole ball of wax in this game. If the Alabama Crimson Tide shoot over 40% from 3, they can win this game. If they go sub 35%, they lose by 18. This all depends on how Alabama shoots the 3. You can't get away with a bad 3-point shooting game in this game if you're the Tide. This is not Robert Morris, where they shot 28% from 3. St. Mary's, they only took 17 threes in that game. Not going to be able to do that this go around. Obviously, the game against BYU, 25 of 51, records for most attempts and made 3-pointers in an NCAA tournament game. It is that simple. And I hate being so simplistic. I hate that this is the way it is. But look, if Bama shoots the 3 well, Bama is going to cover the 7, and they're going to have a real chance to win this game. Now for Duke, I just gotta say this with Duke. Flag is playing at such a ridiculously high level right now. And he is the best. He's the best player in this game. There's no doubt about that. And even in a game where Mark Sears, who to me was the second best player in the SEC this year, even with all this talent in this game, there is a decided gap between Flag and everyone else. And look, for the National Player of the Year, I don't know, like Jeff, of course, this is a big difference. But yeah, well, in these type of games, this matters. And for Duke, even with the lack of playing close games this year, I thought they handled themselves pretty well, all things considered, against Arizona. They win by 7. They don't cover in a game that featured 193 points. I would actually look to the under, as ridiculous as that may sound. I just am concerned about Bama shooting regression in this game, because when you shoot that obscenely well from 3, it is so hard to do it again. But again, Bama's capable. They are one of these teams that is capable of doing this back-to-back games. They are capable of shooting absurdly well from 3. In the end, I expect Duke to win. And I want to see if this number gets higher. If this number gets higher, I'm going to be on Alabama. But I would not go much lower than the 7 if I like the Tide. And I would have leaned to the under. But again, it's so scary of going under in Bama games. They just play so darn fast. There's not a lot more to be said on this game. This is, if Bama shoots well, this could be an all-timer. But of the 4 games in this Elite 8, this to me has the widest variance of final result. Like the Midwest we'll get to in a minute. Auburn and Michigan State, I don't think there's a ton of variance there. Same with Florida and Texas Tech. This can range from Duke blowout, and I mean, look at Bama shoots great from 3-point range, and Duke has a bad shooting game. Bama could win this game by 15, as ridiculous as that may seem. There is high, and this is the deal with Bama, there is high variance across the board at this point, just because of how they play and how they are so uber reliant on the 3-point ball. All right, let's take a quick break. When we get back, we'll look at tomorrow's regional finals, and we'll also look at the Sweet 16 in the women's basketball tournament as well when we get back. Sports by the Book here at the South Point Studio.
Once you've satisfied your hunger, get ready for more of the hottest casino games in Vegas. Our 24-hour, 30-table non-smoking poker room proudly hosts all the most popular poker games with a variety of betting limits. Visit the poker room for a schedule of daily tournaments. Whether you're going to hold 'em or fold 'em, the best place for poker is at South Point Casino. You'll notice that our craps tables are usually the loudest in the casino. If you've never played, join one of our free craps lessons to find out what makes this game so exciting. Check with the craps dealer for schedules and give it a roll. Bingo is also an exciting way to spend your time. We offer 7 sessions of bingo every day. Bingo! And each session includes a cash ball jackpot, 12 bingo games, a progressive double action game, and a $10,000 bonus coverall. Electronic units are available. If you haven't played bingo with us, give it a try today. Guests can also get in on the action at our one-of-a-kind race and sports books, 2 separate rooms designed to maximize your experience and comfort. Our sports book, with over 400 seats, puts you right in the middle of the action, 24 hours a day. The friendly ticket writers are happy to help, and it's conveniently located next to the famous Del Mar Deli, where you'll find supersized portions of delicious deli items like roast beef, pastrami, and Reuben sandwiches, or soups, salads, and pizza, plus spectacular desserts fit for a king. And right next door is the race book, over 150 seats, each with its own TV screen. There are 16 interactive player terminals, so you can bet right from your seat.
Welcome back in. It's Sports by the Book. Here at the South Point studio, I'm Jeff Parles. Let's keep it rolling. And we head to Sunday right now with the two other regional finals. I won't be here tomorrow, so I'll give my thoughts on both of these games right now. And then we'll look at the women's side of things with 4 Sweet 16 games coming your way today. And we begin with the Midwest region tomorrow with Houston and Tennessee. Cougars found a way. Didn't play their best. Blew a 10-point lead with 7 minutes to go, but Uzan's layup with less than a second to go bails Houston out. They end up winning. They end up advancing. They take on a Tennessee team that, look, I got to give Rick Barnes his due here. Of all the teams in the tournament so far, I would say Tennessee has had the smoothest sailing of any one of these 8 teams. Smoothest of anyone. They were never in danger against Wofford. Once they put the foot on the throttle against UCLA, that game was over. And they dominated Kentucky yesterday. Very impressive from Rick Barnes, who, again, Tennessee, amazingly enough, has never been in the Final Four. Barnes has only been there once, of course, 2003 with Texas and T.J. Ford. They only ran into Carmelo Anthony in Syracuse, so no shame in that, even though Texas was a 1 seed. This is going to be a brutally slow-paced game, and it's going to be a battle. And even with 6 days off till the Final Four, my concern for both of these teams lies in what comes next. Now, if Bama upsets Duke, Tennessee and Houston have both played Bama this year. Bama, of course, lost at Tennessee on that epic buzzer beater at the end by Meshack. And Bama and Houston played here in Vegas all the way back on the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. That was an overtime game that Bama won 85-80. So, familiarity there. Neither of these teams have played Duke. So, I just wonder, when you're going to play, and by the way, this total of 124 I think is too high. I really do. I don't see, unless if the shooting is super good in this game, I don't see how we're getting here. I mean, look, fouls at the end could really hurt, but this game should realistically be 62 possessions at the absolute peak, and more likely than not a sub 60, probably a 58. I mean, Tennessee in this tournament has played 60, 62, 61 pace games. Houston, a little bit faster in those first 2 games, 63, but you really kind of throw that out against SIU. That game wasn't really a game in the second half. 65 against Gonzaga, which is a super slow Gonzaga game, and then 57 against Purdue last night. I don't know how we're getting more. Actually, now that I talk about it more, I think we're getting like 55, 56 at this point. Bless you. You're welcome. This is going to be a very, very slow game. And this is an under even at 124. I don't see how we get there. Oh, again, unless if we get an abnormally good shooting game. If these teams have a problem shooting the ball, forget it. I mean, this game could legitimately be first of 50 wins. So I like it under, and I do like Houston. I just think when this is all said and done, the Cougars are just a better team. And Kelvin Sampson's the better coach. And I'm going to take the better team and the better coach, laying the shortest number we've seen of this second weekend. So I like under, and I like laying 3 with the Cougars. Probably my favorite way to play any of these Elite 8 games is this one. I think the other 4, the other 3 are pretty hard, all things considered. Even though I will say, we'll go to the South next, I'm a little surprised that this number came as short as it has with Auburn and Michigan State. especially with the fact that we finally saw Supernova Auburn in the last 11 minutes of that game against Michigan. We have not seen that version of the Auburn Tigers in a while. And they just annihilated Michigan the last 11 minutes of the game. Michigan couldn't get a good shot. Auburn couldn't miss. By the way, 31-17 the last 10 minutes of the game. I'm stunned it was even that close with how badly they dominated them. And Michigan stayed in this tournament. I can see why some have been complaining about this team all year, where they pretty much have played the same game the first 3 rounds, except this game against Ole Miss was a lot tighter, where they play a pretty mediocre first half. The game is, they're actually in better shape than you would have expected based off of watching said game. And then they play a good second half and they find a way to win. Now, the question here for Auburn more so than anything is, how is the focus here for Auburn after finally putting it together? Did the light bulb fully come back on? Is it, hey, we're capable of playing like this all the time, do it? Because, again, we didn't really even see light bulb on Auburn against Creighton. They just put the game away, more so than anything. But I do very much like Auburn at 5. I'm going against what I had at the beginning of this tournament because I'm going off what I saw last night. If that version of Auburn shows up, forget it. Adios. It's over. They win by 15. At least. But again, this is the one concern with this Auburn team. Is the focus going to fully be there all the time? And we saw it more than enough earlier in the tournament. The focus was not there at all against Alabama State, which again, whatever, 116, you can get away with it. They were not focused for the first 20 minutes against Creighton, and they were not focused for the first 28 against Michigan. At some point, and I don't think it's this game that would bite them, but if you get to the Final Four and play Florida, a team that beat Auburn in Auburn, by the way, this year, you're going to lose. You do it against anyone out of the right side, three of those 4 teams have already beaten Auburn this year. In Duke, Alabama, and Tennessee, they'll lose if they're not focused for a full 40. But I do like Auburn. I just big talent gap, and if Auburn plays like that, it's going to be very hard for anyone to beat them at any point in this tournament. All right, let's go to the women's side of things. Let's go to today's Sweet 16 action. And then we start in Birmingham. Again, I'm not a huge fan of these 2-site double pod things. I'm not a huge fan of it. But they're doing what they think is best. And we start with Notre Dame 3 against the 2-seed Texas Christian. This is the game Kenny White's been all over all week, where Kenny very bluntly put that Notre Dame should be this big of a favorite, maybe even larger. They were 4.5s earlier in the week. Those numbers were quickly gobbled up, and it's not surprising that we're 8.5 across the board here. Now, these two teams played earlier in the year in Fort Worth, and TCU stunned Notre Dame with a monster comeback in the fourth quarter. In that fourth quarter, TCU would end up winning by 8. Outscored them 31-12. Now, here's the deal in this game. I think we've gone a little too far the other direction here. Now, I'm not saying TCU is going to be able to pull off an upset or anything like that. And if they can, I think whoever wins this game is very much live against Texas, assuming Texas handles their business later today against Tennessee. But this feels like we've gone too heavy the other way now. So I would take the 8.5 with TCU. And again, yesterday, South Carolina in this building in Birmingham really messed around. They only won by 4 as an 18-point favorite. The other games yesterday, Duke UNC was a brutal shooting game. It was 47-38 for goodness sakes. LSU handled their business against North Carolina State as a favorite, as a 3 seed. And then Lord Betts missed one shot, and that nightcap was brilliant against Ole Miss. But I think this game's close. I like TCU plus the 8.5. Don't think they have enough to get there outright, but hey, crazier stuff has happened. Going to the next game, Texas, Tennessee. Pretty similar line here, 8. I don't see how Notre Dame is a bigger favorite against TCU than Texas is against Tennessee. Again, the SEC is the best overall. Not a Big Ten with the LA teams as an argument, but the SEC is still overall the best conference in women's basketball. This is a complete stay off. The matchups this year with these teams, of course, Texas ended up losing the number 1 seed in the SEC by a coin flip. As ridiculous as that is. The only matchup this year came in Austin, and to credit the Vols, they only lost by 4. And that was when Tennessee was not playing particularly well. Now, if you look at the box score, Tennessee probably shouldn't have lost the game. Both teams shot 50% from 3 from the field. Tennessee shot over 50% from 3, but still lost the game because they were beaten at the free throw line more so than anything. Yeah, actually looking at this box score, it's kind of crazy that Tennessee lost that game. But we'll stay out of this. I think 8 is right with Texas and Tennessee. I just don't think that Notre Dame should be a bigger favorite against TCU than Texas should be against Tennessee. All right, now we go to the biggest favorite of the day, Connecticut against Oklahoma, 2v3. 15.5 here at the South Point. That's the biggest number. It's a 14.5 everywhere else. If you want to take the money and the points with Oklahoma, go for it. Can't really argue with you on this. It's a lot of points, and as unbelievably good as UConn has looked so far in this tournament, just so you know, Huskies so far, they beat Arkansas State. Sean, did you have Arkansas State plus 70 in that game? It was 103-34, 69-point margin. And then they beat up a really good South Dakota State team, 91-57. UConn is just drilling people right now. So that is the one concern. Now, I think UConn, we were set up for a UConn-USC rematch from last year's Elite Eight. We still are set up for it, but of course, Juju Watkins with the torn ACL won't be there. This is UConn's region now. And quite frankly, I would even make the argument that this is UConn's tournament with how well they're playing right now. I think they would beat UCLA in a Final Four, and they already thrashed South Carolina once this year. Why wouldn't they be able to beat them again? But for this individual game, boy, if we get much higher, it would be a play on Oklahoma. But UConn just vaporizing people right now. And in the final game tonight, Juju Watkins less USC. Of course, Watkins suffered the ACL tear against Ole Miss earlier in the week. This number is at least 7 points different because of that. Now, I got to give USC credit because that injury happened early in that game. And they still won the game by 30 plus. But with a whole week of prep for Kansas State, and again, I don't think Kansas State's the team in order to take advantage of this. I think it comes next with UConn. But Ira Fenn is going to have another huge game. She had 36-9 against Ole Miss. Best game she's had all year. She's also been much more effective when Watkins has been on the bench because she's been the number 1 scorer. I just wonder if this is the fallen star theory, at least for this game. One game only. Get to the Elite Eight for the second straight year for Lindsey Gottlieb and company. But, boy, it is a lot to ask after this one. I would stay off of this. If anything, it would be a bet on USC. They probably should be a little bit of a bigger favorite. Against a K-State team, that's a nice story. I don't know how good they truly are. All right. And then the other women's basketball games for the weekend, the Elite Eight, starting in Birmingham, Duke, in the Elite Eight, both the women's and the men's side against South Carolina. This is 8. Both teams did not play particularly well yesterday. Duke was awful on offense, but their defense held up. I thought South Carolina's pretty fortunate to win that game against Maryland yesterday as an 18-point favorite. And I trust the Gamecocks more than Duke to bounce back after, again, winning and getting to the Elite Eight, but not being at their best. It would be a lay of South Carolina, if anything, here on the 8. That'd be the only thing I'd look at. And then the other game, UCLA and LSU, this is not a big enough number here. UCLA just much better. They're just much better. And Lauren Bett's the best player in this game. And with Juju Watkins hurt, other than the game against UConn, Lauren Betts is going to be the best player in any game she plays in. 4.5 seems light. I would have expected this to come closer to 6. So it'd be a look at both favorites for Sunday afternoon in Birmingham and in Spokane for the women's Elite Eight. All right, let's take a break. When we get back, we go to baseball on the first full Saturday. And also, we'll see from our friend Vinny Magliulo in about 15 minutes right here, Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
If you're celebrating a special occasion or just love fine dining, you're in the right place. Come experience the crown jewel of South Point restaurants, Michael's Gourmet Room.
Welcome.
With over 600 different types of wines and magnificent dishes prepared tableside, you'll revel in the rich classic Vegas decor and the best black tie service in the world. This intimate gourmet room has earned accolades galore. Come to Michael's Gourmet Room for an unforgettable dining experience. Another famous restaurant is the Silverado Steakhouse, where you'll find the charm and service that discerning patrons require. From top quality steaks and chops to fresh seafood and desserts, you'll love the award-winning wine list and menu at Silverado Steakhouse. Steak lovers have even more options with primarily prime rib. Catering to hearty appetites, the menu features a variety of flavorful prime rib cuts, dry-aged to ensure tenderness, and then seasoned and slowly roasted. Although prime rib is our specialty, it's not the only thing on the menu. There's something for everyone. And if you're craving a taste of Italy, come experience delicious Italian cuisine and the attentive service at Don Vito's. Our culinary team starts with the freshest ingredients and transforms them into traditional favorites. And don't forget Italian desserts. Don Vito's. Savor the taste of Italy. Finally, if sushi is more your style, join us at the popular Zenshin Asian restaurant and sushi bar, where we're serving up the freshest sashimi, nigiri, and sushi rolls. And beyond the sushi, an exciting contemporary Asian cuisine menu, plus a variety of specialty drinks, Japanese and domestic beer, wine, and sake. Balance your hunger with Zenshin. South Point is also proud to provide a variety of relaxing amenities for the guests who want to be pampered. Soak up the sun and let your stress melt away in our lagoon-style paradise swimming pool. A relaxing getaway where you can bask in the desert sun and enjoy seasonal food and bar service poolside. And if you really want to escape, come to Spa Costa del Sur. From couple suites to a co-ed wet area, our spa caters to business and leisure travelers who want to unwind and elevate their senses. A visit to one of our spa's steam, sauna, or whirlpool treatment rooms will leave any guest feeling like they can take on the world. Our gaming amenities include over 60 table games and over 2,600 of the most popular slot and video poker machines. We have penny slots, including the popular Buffalo games, and real machines like Wheel of Fortune, Triple Sevens, and Megabucks. If you prefer video poker, try Deuces Wild, Double Double Bonus, or a variety of multi-denomination games. Or try your hand at one of the most popular casino table games in the world, Blackjack. Don't let the game intimidate you. Blackjack, also known as 21, is both easy and fun. And our dealers are always happy to assist. And the best part? Blackjack always pays 3 to 2. Next, check out the roulette tables. Roulette is one of the easiest casino games to learn, and so much fun to play. It's a favorite of both beginners and seasoned players. In addition to blackjack and roulette, our casino pit features over 60 popular table games like Baccarat, Pai Gow Poker, 3-Card Poker, Ultimate Texas Hold'em, and Mississippi Stud. So get out of your room and come join in the fun.
Get ready to laugh with Punchlines with Frank Nicotero. Join Frank and his team of featured guests for your daily dose of comedy.
Reno, the Pittsburgh of the West.
Poison.
Yeah.
Poison.
Sports.
F for Falcons, Alex. We were talking Derek Carr for MVP after 2 games.
Who's we?
Okay, me.
You.
I was.
And the funniest social media posts.
People want to show off their food. Boom. Wiener on a guy's shoulder. It's the dark tones. We bleed blue.
It's your one-stop spot for great laughs and a good time. Find us on YouTube at Punchlines FN. And join the chat live weekdays at noon Pacific for the ultimate blend of jokes, sports, and viral fun.
Welcome back in. It's Sports by the Book here at the South Point studio. We'll see Vinny Magliulo in 10 minutes as we go to baseball here, the first Saturday card. Congratulations to Rob Manfred in realizing we can have day games in baseball today. Do we give a round of applause? No, we shouldn't. We shouldn't do that. All right, we're going rotation number order. So we start in Philadelphia and Washington. This is a 4:05 East game. Jake Irvin and Jesus Luzardo. Your pitching matchup here, a pair of left-handers. So, opening day, boy, if you had the under on opening day in Philly and Washington, take a lap. Extra innings does you in. A 4-run 10th gave the Phillies a 7-3 win. Oh, boy. Yeah, that's pretty brutal, more so than anything. Phillies bullpen. By the way, I will say this. I'm just throwing this out there. I don't think the Phillies are as rock solid as a lot of people think they are with that bullpen. Just think because of how good they were a year ago, you're due for some sort of regression. Now, the one thing that I will say is that Jeff Hoffman left, and I thought he was the most likely regression candidate, so that does help them a little bit. But we saw the bullpen not hold up the other day. It was Jordan Romano who blew up for Philadelphia against the Nats on opening day on Thursday. So Luzardo, kind of surprised Luzardo's numbers were at least on the surface, as ugly as they were a year ago. Irvin, who was good a year ago, by the way, right hand, it's confusing, Jake Irvin and Cole Irvin. Good start for me here this morning. Boy, I would just steer clear. And this will be a lot of steer clearing here early in the year. But plus 140 on the dog, I don't think is quite good enough to justify it, even with home field. And again, Irvin had some glimpses last year where he looked like a real potential high-end starter for Washington. All right, we go to Cincy next. Reds, Giants, Wilmer Flores' 3-run homer in the top of the ninth. The difference on opening day for the Reds. Again, another back-end bullpen blow-up for the Reds. It was Gabal, who, again, is going to be their closer. And, again, I have concerns about him at the back end. Giants got away with even a pretty average Logan Webb start. Now today, Justin Verlander makes his San Francisco Giant debut. Boy, that one's going to look funky. Nick Lodolo, who again is a part of the 3 big arms at the front of the rotation for the Reds, the young guns, Green, Lodolo, and Abbott. Now that Ashcraft is out of the bullpen. So, boy, I was really hoping that this would come a little shorter on Cincy, and I would lay it with the Reds, but the best he can do, it looks like, is minus 18. He's really hoping for like a minus 110. Like a flip at some books on this, but we're not getting that. Not getting that. If this gets to 9 on a total, I'd go under. But again, be careful as always with Cincinnati, just with the fact of what that place is. Potential for Yeah, boy, it's really going to start raining in Cincy starting on Sunday. So, got to get this one in if you're the Giants and the Reds. All right, we go to San Diego next. Padres and the Braves. San Diego looking to take the first 3 of this 4-game series that opens the season. Padres last night, a Jake Cronenworth 8th-inning homer, the difference in a 4-3 win for San Diego. Again, the Padres, it's kind of weird this offseason where all the NL East teams, even the Diamondbacks, obviously the Dodgers, and the Cubs, all got more eyeballs than San Diego. Padres didn't do too much in this offseason. And still a really darn good baseball team. A playoff caliber team for yet another year. Now, it's Vasquez and Schwellenbach here today. And the Braves being a favorite is right. This is a good-sized pitching advantage for Atlanta with Schwellenbach on the mound. But I just think this is a little too steep. You're pushing $1.30 at home as an underdog for the Padres. I don't know how many times they should be that this year, except when the Dodgers come down I-5. It would only be a look to San Diego here, but again, tread very carefully early in the season. I'm treading very carefully, at least to begin this season, right out of the gate. All right, we go to Arizona next. Cubs and Diamondbacks have split the first 2 of their 4-game set. Cubs won in the Diamondback opener, and the Diamondbacks last night an 8-1 beatdown behind a nice outing from Merrill Kelly and just bombarding Jameson Taillon. Imanaga makes his first stateside start of the year against Brandon Pfaadt. Again, Imanaga had great rookie campaign a year ago. Great first 4 innings against the Dodgers before getting yanked. No hit innings. Cubs should be the slightest of favorites in this game. And they're not. It would be a look to Chicago here. This is a better starter on the Cubs end. First 5 is priced. Again, I think first 5 is priced wrong too. The Cubs should be favored full game first 5. Just better starting pitcher here. As good as the D-backs are going to be this season, I just getting a better advantage with Imanaga here. It'd be a look to Shota and the Cubs here as a dog first 5 and full game in this one. All right, we go to Toronto next. Max Scherzer making his Blue Jay debut. Takes on Dean Kramer. So far in this series, it has been whichever offense has bombarded has won. 8-2 yesterday, 12-2 on opening day. Only look to the over. I think that's what you got to do in this series. 8.5, just keep looking over. Expect those offenses to have a good day at the office yet again. All right, we go to Texas. Rangers and Red Sox for this upcoming one. Split the first 2. Final game of, 4 games set down in Arlington. Walker Buehler and Tyler Mahle, your pitching matchup for this one. Rangers slightest of favorites at -110. This would be a complete stay away. Complete stay away. Buehler, who was not good in the regular season a year ago, obviously pitched very well in the postseason for the Dodgers. Mahle, who last year only pitched in 3 games, did not pitch well in any of them. Again, he's struggled to stay healthy the last few years. He's only appeared, Mahle has, in 12 games in the last 3 seasons. So, got to just find a way to stay healthy for a guy who's a pretty reasonable pitcher over the last few years. All right, moving along. We go to Seattle next. Beto and Miller splitting the first 2 in this series between Oakland and Seattle, the 4-game set. Great outing by Jeffrey Springs yesterday. 6 innings, 9 Ks, 3 strikeouts, or three hits, I should say. Dominant outing, and they hit around Seattle's bullpen, the Athletics did. -155 on the Mariners, +150 on the A's. 7 the total. Yeah, this is a total. This would be only an under, more so than anything. Just a matter of what type of consistency are we getting out of Beto here. All right, to the Bronx. Nestor Cortez returns, pitching for the Milwaukee Brewers this time. Max Fried, Yankee debut, -160 on the Bronx Bombers, total of 9. It would be a complete stay out here. Everything all good on the pricing in this one. I'm just curious, and the main reason I'm bringing this up with no angle is I'm just curious how Cortez handles pitching back in the Bronx. And, of course, for the Yankees, familiarity abound against Nestor here in this one. So just curious to see how that plays out. Rubber match in Houston tonight. Mets and Stros. Aaron Getty and Canning. Astros a -120 favorite against the Mets. Griffin Canning gets pummeled by a lot of these Astros hitters. Diaz and Jordan especially have OPS's career over 850 against him. So that probably is a look to the Astros against Griffin Canning here tonight, just because of the way that elite hitters in that Astro lineup hit Canning absurdly well back in his days with the Angels for Griffin Canning. And then the last one, Dodgers and Tigers. Boy, if you've had Tiger tickets in this series, it's been a frustrating go of it. They lose 5-4 on opening day. Yesterday, they blow the lead, then tie the game, then take a 2-run lead to the bottom of the 8th, and then take a lead to the bottom of the 10th, and Mookie Betts hits a walk-off homer after hitting a game-tying homer in the 8th. Also another one where the over got totally destroyed in extra innings. -220 on the Dodgers. Honestly, with Sasaki, I think that's a little bit cheap. I probably wouldn't bother with it, but boy, I expected them to come a little bit of a bigger favorite against Olsen here today, but -220 on Dodger Blue here in this one. All right, let's take a minute break. When we get back, we wrap it up with Vinny Magliulo right here, Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
Once you've satisfied your hunger, get ready for more of the hottest casino games in Vegas. Our 24-hour, 30-table non-smoking poker room proudly hosts all the most popular poker games with a variety of betting limits. Visit the poker room for a schedule of daily tournaments. Whether you're going to hold 'em or fold 'em, the best place for poker is at South Point Casino. You'll notice that our craps tables are usually the loudest in the casino. If you've never played, join one of our free craps lessons to find out what makes this game so exciting. Check with the craps dealer for schedules and give it a roll. Bingo is also an exciting way to spend your time. We offer 7 sessions of bingo every day. Bingo! And each session includes a cash ball jackpot, 12 bingo games, a progressive double action game, and a $10,000 bonus coverall. Electronic units are available. If you haven't played bingo with us, give it a try today.
Welcome back in. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. I'm Jeff Parles. And now joining me, a good guy, our favorite, Vinny Magliulo with us right now.
Nice of you to say.
Yeah.
Morning, Jeffrey. How are you?
I'm good. Vinny?
Yes, sir.
Elite 8 games. We went through them a little bit earlier here on the show, but we'll go through them with you now as well.
Got some updated prices.
Let's start with today. Go through all 4, and then I'll ask my questions.
Okay. Duke obviously opened 6.5 against Alabama, and now is up to 7. 175 on the total, which is up a point. And this is a game that I think everybody's going to have an interest in. I mean, all of these games, right? When you think about it, these moves have come mostly by professional play right now. And in advance, again, professionals making their numbers, comparing them to what's posted, and then also, the public what they'll do is they will bet as right before game time, and then in between games, right? Duke game will get over, and then head to the Texas Tech Florida game. By the way, the total on that game, the money line on Duke up to 320, 20-cent move on the favorite there. The Florida Gators 6.5 up to 7 against Texas Tech, and that total is also up from 157 to 158 in that game there. Total, the money line similar to the Duke game. From 3 up to 320 right now. Tomorrow, Auburn holding steady as a 5-point favorite against Michigan State. I don't think this will surprise you much, Jeff. The total moved down from 149 on the opener to 148, and the money line on that game, interestingly enough, down 30 cents. Game has stayed the same, but from 250 down to 220 in favor of Auburn, and then Houston against Tennessee. And you wonder, what Tennessee's got. I mean, they're playing very well right now. A big emotional win yesterday. Remember, Jeff, for the last couple of months on Free Throw Fridays with Chris Andrews, we were talking about, and I've got my thoughts on the how teams respond after really emotional games, right? How they come through a game that had not only tough play but also psychologically how they come out of it. And then, Tennessee, we knew that they lost 2 close games to Kentucky during the regular season. They came out and dominated that game from the opening whistle yesterday. But look, this is to go to the Final Four, right? And the points have been taken. They took 3.5. The game is now down to Houston -3. The total up to 124, which is only up a half point right now. And the money line, they took Tennessee on the money line. It's down 10 cents to 160.
With 1-2, 1-3, 1-2, 1-2.
Chalky.
Ken Palm's ratings have 1 through 7 and number 9 left.
Good by them. Good job by that
pretty
group.
good. And I'll ask, and my question is for you on this, where, again, we've seen highly power rated like Elite Eights in the past.
Yeah.
This has to be up there with any of them at this point, with just the amount of strength.
Yeah.
And look, this is what happens when we get shocked. But this is, again, legitimately 1 through 7, and Texas Tech is number 9 in Ken Palm. That's
right.
Super, super strength.
And if you remember, too, and to their credit as well, and, in our world here at South Point with our ratings, I know Texas Tech is higher, but all along, I think those guys were high on them for several months.
They were.
And again, the SEC got a lot of attention, rightfully so. I mean, when you look at the SEC representation here in the Elite Eight, right? Rightfully so. But Texas Tech has what it takes. I think Chance McMillan, is he? What's his status?
I don't look great.
Looks like a game time decision. Going to try to warm up. I mean, that's an important, key part for them, right? So we'll have to see how that works. Especially, and again, they're going to have to keep Florida off the boards, particularly on the offensive glass. But getting back to the ratings, what does it mean? Well, it's meant certainly that the public has done pretty well the last couple of days as well. It was interesting. I was yesterday. Chris Andrews and I were watching the games, obviously, and we're looking at the last 2 games, but especially the last result. Everything going to it. It's almost like a Monday night football game,
pretty much,
where no matter what happened, because of rollovers, carryovers, and again, being so chalky. And by the way, I know in your previous segment, you mentioned the Dodgers, who get bet every day.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's, and particularly when they're on the West Coast, as they are now, they get the action, and a lot of things are tied to them, or they're wrapped up with the Dodgers, right? If they're not going directly to, they're going, with the Dodgers. So, it's been a pretty good run the last couple of days for the bettors, but that's okay. You tip your cap to them, you pay them, and know that they're going to be here today, tomorrow, and beyond.
Well, they'll definitely be there today, tomorrow, and beyond. We know that
for sure.
Just real quick, with what we watched last night, because I want to just hear your opinion on what we saw from Auburn those last 10 minutes, because we hadn't seen that in a while.
Probably
them.
A month or a month and a half.
Right? That was supernova mid-January.
Yeah.
We're going to beat you by 30, regardless of who we are, who you are on the other side. That kind of makes this a little even more interesting to me moving forward, because I looked at this like, all right, Florida's probably coming out of the left side of the bracket. They're playing the best of everybody right now. Thought their path through the West was pretty reasonable, and still, it is. They're a 7-point favorite today.
Mm-hmm.
And Duke and Houston, I mean, the winner of that game probably should be the favorite in the national title game after beating the opponent, what it is. But
well, Duke's got to get by Alabama. Right?
Well, I mean,
Houston's got to get by Tennessee.
Well, and Auburn's got to get
right?
by Michigan State still. But I mean, what we watched yesterday in Atlanta yesterday, I mean, Michigan State has kind of done the same thing in all 3 tournament games where
they're never out of a game.
They sleepwalk for the first 20 minutes and then find a way and get it done in the last 20, and it's never pretty.
As great a job as Izzo's done.
But Vinny, that was number 1 Auburn that we hadn't seen in 6 weeks at least.
Good point, Jeff. No question about it. That's the Auburn that certainly we had anticipated seeing going into the tournament. But they struggle, right? But they lose 3 out of 4 games going into the tournament. But that was the Auburn that everybody thought we would see. But that's the Auburn from January, right? And the first part of February. So, which is kind of scary when you think about it. But look, if you look at the number and it's holding steady, right at 2.5. Listen, you hit a key point. The way Michigan State is never out. They were down double digits. Remember yesterday, right? And it was they did not have a good start. They overcame it. That's the Michigan State that we've seen most of the season, right? So, it's going to be a contrast in styles, a good game. But all of these games are terrific games. But to your point, that was the Auburn and the committee made the number 1 seed, and that's that was you saw that last night.
Vinny, how's the action on the women's tournament?
Women's is very good too. I've got to tell you, and I've got the women's updated prices here for you as well. Notre Dame is up a full point to 8.5 on TCU. That game is today, along with Tennessee and Texas. Texas holding steady as 8-point favorites there. Totals on these and money lines as well. 144.5 on Notre Dame TCU. 153.5 on Tennessee and Texas. The Connecticut up to 15.5 against Oklahoma. They laid the 14.5. That game is up to 15.5. 153.5. And in spite of the unfortunate injury, SC up from 1 to 2. They laid 1.5 against Kansas State. Down, though, on the total, no real surprise here. 141.5 to 139.
It is that number with the injury to Watkins. I still think it's good on USC. And next round feels like the one where, again, UConn is taking a blowtorch to everybody over the last month plus, and now you're without the best player in the country, and you got to go up against that. That would be pretty tough one way or another.
Tough order, no question.
Even with Watkins, that still might have been a UConn win anyway. So.
You know,
how's the first few days of baseball been, Vinny?
Very good. You know, and the good part too is that there's games all day, which is nice. You know, Jeff. For folks that have listened, you've heard me. I love day baseball. So when especially when everybody's playing, it's not getaway day. And you've got day games, and even a lot of times getaway day, there are day games. So what's nice about it is the games are spread throughout the day and into the evening. So, but baseball's been real good, no question. And the bettors, like I said, they've gotten the best of it so far. Particularly, this is a Dodger town, this is a Dodger property, so good for them.
Well, not a surprise on that,
right?
As we know.
No.
So, all right, that's what we got. And, we even had all the wires for you today. So.
Yeah, I'm very impressed. Ralph left and of course Sean and Drew Dog made sure I didn't hit the wrong button here and turn everything off. So, Vinny, don't touch any equipment.
No, don't. For your own good, don't do it. So, all right, that's all we got for you here today. Alex and Kenny are back tomorrow at 9 a.m. Get you ready for the Elite Eight on both the men's and women's sides and much more. Sean, Drew Dog, thank you as always. I'm Jeff Parles. I'll see you again on Monday, everyone, right here on Sports by the Book at the South Point Studio.